If you're not married, you're a failure. That was the message that I got for decades. You're not married? You don't have kids? Oh, honey, don't worry, there's still time. The question I most often got was, no offense, but you seem like an awesome person. Why haven't you met someone and why haven't you settled down yet? Like there was some like major hidden flaw that I wasn't married yet. And as I got older, the question became more frequent and people looked even more confused. I must be hiding something, right? I was bulimic for almost 20 years. And when I started digging into my beliefs, I realized that one reason I didn't want to give up binge eating was because being bigger gave me an excuse for why I wasn't married, an excuse that I thought everyone could see. I'm not married because I'm bigger. Can't you see that? I mean, look at me. It's not some deeper flaw with me, because people are superficial. They get that kind of reasoning. That's why I'm not married. If only I could lose the weight, then I'd be married and everything in my life would be perfect. Blah, blah, blah. I had people even ask me if I was gay. Maybe that's what I was hiding. We get so ridiculous sometimes and we try to force our beliefs on other people. But haven't the days of old maids come and gone? Why couldn't I just be single and not be hiding something or have something wrong with me? Of course, then you really start to question yourself. Maybe there is something wrong with me. Maybe I'm not as awesome as I think. And I don't have children yet either. Man, I'm kind of a double failure. My mom harassed me for years for not giving her a grandchild. I was almost 40 before she said, no, your sister and brother have given me grandkids, so if you don't want to have kids, I'm okay with it. And I know that she just wanted what she thought was going to make me happy. She thought that if I had a husband and kids, that I would be happy. And that's the way the majority of society thinks. They think that you have to be married with kids in order to be complete and to be happy and to be productive. But whew, thank goodness now my mom says it's okay, the pressure's off. I even had a boss tell me that I was selfish because I didn't want to have kids. I didn't even have a husband yet. Like, isn't that a good start? But even that is a belief that society tries to put on us. Oh, you have to have a husband first before you can have children. All of these beliefs are put on us and we never question them. And they can start to feel, people can start to feel like less of a man or less of a woman if they can't have children. Like procreating is what makes you a whole man or a whole woman. I can't imagine the logic of that. But how many people that have had their 2.5 or 8 or 10 children and then they really screw them up? Everyone should not have children. And just popping out children does not make you a man or a woman. And I get wanting someone to pass on your legacy. I get wanting to produce a little bit of you that lives on after you're gone. I also get having to have someone who takes care of you as you get older. I get all the reasons why there are people who want to have kids and why that's really awesome for some people. But personally, I think that there are also a lot of people in the world who need love. And spreading your love with whomever you decide to give it to makes you human. And being a really good person that makes the world around you better, that can be your legacy. And let's be honest, those kids are putting you in a home when you get old. So I definitely will give a shout out to all the moms and dads out there. It's a really hard job raising good human beings, but that's not everyone's purpose in life. And why is it so hard to believe that not everyone wants the same things in life? I remember sitting around a lunch table with people that I would have considered fairly evolved, people that were, into the growth industry, fellow coaches. And we were talking about one of my mentors, Brendon Burchard. And if you don't know him, he is an awesome guy. And during one of our lectures, he had talked about how there were things in life that we could do, But that didn't mean we had to do them just because we could do them. And one of his examples, he said, I could be an awesome dad. He said, I'm great with children, but that doesn't mean that I have to be a dad. And the people at this lunch table, they were tossing around ideas about why he might not have kids, and so I say, maybe I'm a little biased, but I'm single, I don't have kids. And I said, well, maybe they just don't want to have kids. Him and Denise seem pretty happy just the way they are. And Denise is Brendon's awesome wife, beautiful woman, really smart. But they looked at me like I had a third head. And how could anyone not want kids? That's just what completes you, right? And then they went back to guessing why he didn't have kids. And I just can't fathom that anyone who knows Brendon Burchard would say that he is missing anything in his life. He teaches people how to fully bring joy into every moment of their day and to really appreciate the things in your life. And he's living the type of life that most of us want. And yet somehow his choice to not have children was mind-boggling to people. And they were actually, insinuating that somehow he wasn't fully successful because he didn't have kids. Having a great job, awesome wife, changing the world somehow wasn't enough. And then I look at myself, and I had told myself, and a lot of people insinuated the same thing about me. I felt like a failure in life because I wasn't married with kids. But do we really need to be half of a whole to be whole? Do we really need kids to be whole? That was what I was repeatedly told, and I had really started to believe it. I mean, there were literally nights when I would lay in bed and I would cry. And I would cry because I wasn't married, I didn't have kids, people looked at me like there was something wrong with me. I started to think, maybe it won't ever happen. And I felt really incomplete because I didn't have what everyone told me that I should have. And then I really started to dig into my beliefs. Do I want a partner in life? Absolutely. Do I want someone to be able to share my life with? Absolutely. But does that person need to be a husband, or even a boyfriend, or even a person of the opposite sex? Maybe not. Does that person even have to be just one person? Or can we have multiple people in our lives who fill these needs for us? But it's funny because we always see other people's answers while we often miss our own answers. I had a friend, and she was having a baby, and she is the most amazing woman. And she was really upset because she had a really toxic family, and she had decided that it was best not to have them in her life. This was her sister, her brother, her mom, and her dad. And she was really upset because she was going to be having a baby, and she felt like something was going to be missing in her baby's life, and like she was somehow shortchanging her baby because they weren't going to have this traditional family. They weren't going to have these aunties and uncles and grandparents like all the other kids. And she was actually considering bringing this toxicity back into her life because she couldn't give her baby the traditional family. But she was able to give her baby something way cooler. And it's what I like to call a soul family. I mean, she basically got to look around her whole entire life and go, who are the most awesome people in my life? And then she got to say, hey, you want to be an auntie to my baby? Hey, do you want to be an uncle to my baby? Hey, do you want to be, a grandparent to my baby? She got to choose the people who influenced her baby. She got to choose the people in her life. And, don't some of us wish we could do that sometimes, it's that way that ridiculous cousin, or the crazy aunt, but she got to do that. But it was funny because, she wasn't able to see her own answers at first, but she was actually the one that told me. She said, if you want to share your life, you can share it with me. If you want to, talk about, your trips, and you want to go on trips, you don't have to do that with a traditional husband. You can do this with the people in your life, and you can choose who you do it with. And it was so amazing to me, that she saw that and that I didn't. And it was just such an amazing gift. And what I thought was funny was basically what I was doing was I was sitting around, I was waiting for Mr. Perfect to come along and to fill all of my needs so that I could be complete. But man, what pressure is that? Okay, you want to date, let me give you a checklist of all of my needs, and you are the person who is going to have to fill all of those. Well, the inherent flaw in that, A, most people don't know our needs, but B, relying on other people to fill our needs is typically gonna leave us empty. We have all of these expectations, most of them unspoken, and what we need to start looking at is how can I fill my own needs? In my case, I had to look at myself and go, my life is pretty complete. It's just I had started telling myself, that it wasn't because I wasn't married with kids, but that wasn't based on my evaluation. That was based on other people's evaluation. I look at my job and I love my job now. I love the people I work with. I love chatting with you guys. I love the people that I surround myself with. I love the relationship that I have with my family now. So you can't look outside of you to have your needs met. You have to look inside. You have to make yourself whole. So it's not that you are half of a whole. It's one whole person, you, plus one whole person, the person you decide to spend your life with, equals 2. So it's not half plus half equals 1. It's 1 plus 1 equals 2. And so now I realize that, and I look at how I can make myself whole. That way, when I meet someone that's my someone for the rest of my life, I'm a whole one. And we need to stop listening to society that tells us, oh, you're a failure if you don't have kids, you're a failure if you're not part of a pair. And then we start to tell ourselves, oh, I'm not enough, I'm not worthy of love, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not thin enough, I'm not whatever enough. But we are enough, just as we are, all by ourselves. Now, how does that feel when you try that on? When you say to yourself, I'm enough, all by myself, I'm enough. Wow, that's amazing, right? So what are your voices telling you? What are the beliefs that you have picked up that aren't serving you? What beliefs would you rather live into? Now, if you'd like to continue this conversation, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to be notified when I post my next video, just hit the little bell beside of it and it'll send you a notification when I post the next video. Come check out my free webinar on www.ourworldempowered.com, and we'll dig into more of these beliefs. We're going to do a deep dive and we're going to discuss how to get rid of them and then replace them with more empowering beliefs. Again, that's ourworldempowered.com. Now, again, please consider subscribing. If you think anybody else could benefit from this video, forward it to them. I'm sure that we all have some beliefs that we can clear out so that we can start living the more empowered life. All right, I'll be seeing you soon.